Dear learners, once again I welcome you all to the course BSW 042 Tribal Society. As you are aware that there are 4 blocks in this course, Block 3 and Block 4 highlights about the tribal identity and ethnicity. Today I am going to discuss Unit 3 of Block 4, which highlights the employment trends among tribals in India. I understand that you have developed an understanding on this topic through previous video lectures. Proceeding further, I am sure this insightful discussion with an expert who belongs to one of the native tribes of Arunachal Pradesh will surely enhance your knowledge on this topic. Today we have with us Professor Sumpam Tangjang, Professor in Botany and Dean Student Welfare from Rajiv Gandhi University, to share his expertise. Sir, on behalf of the learners, I welcome you in this session and I would like to put forth the first query. What are the recent employment trends among tribals in India? Kindly elaborate for our learners about tribes as labor force.
Thank you, KP Singh sir, for giving me this opportunity and having me here. So I will start with your first question. Thank you so much, and this is a very relevant question for today's tribes in India. Actually, every tribe in India is living in a very remote places, and so most of them depends on like traditional farming system like shifting cultivation and all. And again, most if I talk about Arunachal Pradesh, then they are mostly agrarian, and 80% of them they rely on traditional farming system only, and the farming constitutes like shifting cultivation, wet rice cultivation and other paddy cum fish type cultivation. Then yeah, they greatly depend on land and forest for their livelihood through agriculture. Then food gathering and hunting were one of their occupation. Then jhum or shifting cultivation has been practiced as a way of life within the tribal communities across India. So as you have asked about the employment trends in the recent days, so some of the employment trends witnessed throughout the year are diverse. Workplaces usually attributed to generational differences as well as racial, ethnic and national origin diversity. In addition, technology that enables workers to choose where, when and how they want to work is rapidly changing. The employment in the farm sector declined for males because most of the people are now engaged themselves in business and they prefer planting of cash crops, and most of them are even engaged in tea plantation crops, then agroforestry systems like planting, horticulture and all. Then in the past, male laborers were employed at higher wages than female counterparts in both sectors, but the difference was narrowed down during last couple of years. The tribal laborers form substantial part of the unauthorized labor force. The contribution of tribal labor in unorganized work is immense. The problems surrounding the conditions of work also differ to a great extent from area to area, maybe from plain tribals to hilly tribals like the place in Northeast India. The tribal communities for economic purpose migrate from place to place, and their mobility is based on many factors influencing their pattern of employment and traditional occupations. In the recent population census, the population of scheduled tribes below poverty line is thinning down both in rural and urban areas. Also, the situation of non-workers among total ST population is also not dismal as compared to other communities. However, government is pursuing an integrated approach to upgrade the situation of unemployment among ST population across the country. For instance, the scheduled tribe have the benefit of job reservation in government employment, while some communities have adopted a way of life similar to the neighboring non-tribal communities.
Thank you for your insightful response. For the benefit of the learners, would you please highlight sector-wise employment scenario of tribals in India?
So, as I have mentioned in my first answer, that the economy of Arunachal Pradesh is largely agrarian. It means they're based on age-old jhum cultivation, terrace farming, then rice cultivation, etc. If we talk about like sector-wise job or employment, then they are mostly agriculture-based industries. For example, if I cite any example of Arunachal Pradesh, then the state is largest producer of kiwi in India, and I must say that it is second largest in large cardamom production. The state also has various inland fisheries resources. So tourism is another very important sector, then textiles. Then we have like the Chief Minister skill development program, which helped in improving employability of educated unemployed youth in the state. I'm citing only the example of Arunachal Pradesh. So again, there is a job mela cum skill development interview rally every year, and many youths have been like employed or self-employed out of that. Then moreover, the state government has announced that a minimum of 10% of the funds allocated to the members of Legislative Assembly local area development scheme will be used to train unemployed youths. So this helps the unemployed youth to acquire the necessary skills for taking up self-employment activities or for enhancing their employability. Other centrally sponsored schemes are also there, like NREGA, National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, then Prime Minister's Rozgar Yojana. Then we have Rural Employment Generation Program, then Scheme for Working Women Hostels, then Swarn Jayanti Program, Swarozgar Yojana, and training for rural youth for self-employment. The Department of Industries of the state is responsible for promoting the industrial activities in the state to provide employment opportunities to the rural, urban, unemployed youth. Now, even interestingly, aiming big in life, the rural youth of the state appears willing to explore employment opportunities outside the state at a training and recruitment rally, with many of them opting for skills that have markets in bigger cities and industrial towns. They appear willing to look beyond jobs in the government sector, which has been the traditional source of employment in this mountainous border state.
Thank you, Professor Sumpam, for your precise clarity on the query asked. Moving to the next, have you experienced any significant change taking place in tribal occupation due to globalization? How has it created new occupational avenues for tribals in India?
Indeed, there have been significant change taking place because of globalization. For example, as we all know that Arunachal Pradesh is one of the poorest and remotest states of India, and it entered the field of effective plant development much later than most of the states. So actually, the state had to start virtually from a zero base. So there were practically no roads, no schools, no hospitals, and was seriously deficient in food grains requirements. The isolation and lack of development in infrastructural facilities in the area was so acute that even at the micro level it was not possible to make any appreciable investment in the initial plan periods. There were no private and corporate sectors investments. Most of the tribal communities are colonial among them, but since Some decades, their social and cultural life mixes with other and other world mixed with them due to globalization. Such occupational shift after globalization in India shows that although the economy has moved out of agriculture to non-agrarian sectors, construction has absorbed some workers more than sectors of late. Nevertheless, the growth benefits of globalization aside, the costs imposed by these are often unevenly borne by the poorest and marginalized society. The gainers of this process improve their economic status and are able to enjoy better quality of life. For millions of people, this development strategy has displaced them from their life-supporting economic activities, and stability of the existing pattern of living costs them their homes, their livelihoods, their health, and even their lives. And for example, if we talk about connectivity among the countries, then in Arunachal there is a trade connection with neighboring countries like Burma. For example, during Pangso Pass, there is a trade link between these two, the district of Arunachal, Changlang district, and this one Burma. So these are the changes taking place because of globalization.
Thank you for sharing your valuable knowledge on the topic tribal occupation due to globalization. How do you see the role of women as labor force equally contributing towards tribal development?
Thank you for the question. This is very pertinent again. So, Swami Vivekananda said that all nations have attained greatness by paying proper respect to women. That country and that nation which do not respect women have never become great, nor will ever be in the future. So the typicality of women, tribal women as compared to women of other society or tribes, is their versatile nature. Apart from contributing in household activities, agriculture, and sustaining own families, they have potentials to play a key role in societal and political activities, thereby contributing towards tribal development as a whole. However, due to lack of funding, counseling, tools, and skill development, and so on and so forth, their potential as a social animal is largely undermined, and hence they are compelled to have a pathetic life which needs to be addressed and alleviate the economic, social, and political spheres. Realizing the potential of tribal women and their contribution in various aspects of tribal society, the government of Arunachal Pradesh passed the bill for the constitution of the State Commission for Women in 2002. The bill aims to improve the status of women and to incur unfair practices affecting them. Various schemes have been implemented so as to escalate the deteriorated status of tribal women and help them enjoying their rights and facilities. So the latest census reveals significantly higher percentage both for male as well as female workers as far as women cash earnings when compared with male husbands is concerned. Then most of them, they are contributing almost equally, and especially in Arunachal they have come so far, like now they are competing with the world within India and all. They are competing in various types of examination, so they are like outshining male, and so there is a change as of now in the scenario. So again, to enhance the women, there is some schemes in Arunachal Pradesh have been implemented, like Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. It provides subsidy on LPG connection to the below poverty line as a measure of relief for women who toil really hard for firewood every day. Then there is another Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao is a campaign that aims to generate awareness and improve the efficiency of welfare services intended for girls in education and health sector.
Thank you for your informed and insightful response on the role of women as labor force. Moving further, for the benefit of the learners, can you highlight some points how the development programs are providing employment opportunities to tribals?
Thank you. Yes, there are a lot of developmental programs initiated by the government of India, and they are providing employment opportunities to the tribals. For example, the Ministry of Tribal Affairs under its special area program provides funds as an additive to the state plan for carrying out skill development and employment income generation activities. The ministry has impressed upon the state governments for promotion of need-based integrated livelihoods initiative and skill upgradation of tribals to get them respectable jobs such as diversified crops, then horticulture, dairy development with state cooperative societies, then backyard poultry, then fisheries, apiculture, then we have sericulture, etc. with proper market linkages. The Ministry of Rural Development is implementing various rural development programs, namely Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MNREGA, then National Rural Livelihoods Mission, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, Indira Awas Yojana, and National Social Assistance Program, etc. in rural areas of the country through state government to bring about overall improvements in the quality of life of the people in rural areas through employment generation, development of rural infrastructure, and provision of the other amenities. Another important thing is job reservation in tribals, for tribals in government sector can be cited as one of the numerous development programs which is playing a pivotal role in providing employment opportunities to the tribals. For example, at India level, working population ratios of both rural male and rural females of scheduled tribes over the periods are higher than those of their counterparts among all social groups.
Thank you very much for your information. Dear learners, till now we have discussed about the different trends of employment for the tribals in India. Now we will be moving ahead to the next query. I will be asking to the Professor Sumpam Tangjang. Sir, assimilation without empowering the tribals is no justice. Could you shed some light on it?
India is a multilingual, multiracial and multicultural country. And as long as the minorities are free to follow their traditional way of life, it would seem only fair that the culture and the social order of tribes, however distinct from that of the majority community, should also be respected. Assimilation will occur automatically and inevitably where small tribal groups are enclosed within other populations. At the same time, the government of India has adopted several policies for integration of tribals with the mainstream aiming at developing a creative adjustment between the tribes and non-tribes, leading to a responsible partnership. For example, if I talk about Arunachal Pradesh, Arunachal is inhabited by mostly like 26 major tribes with many sub-tribes, colorful sub-tribes. So it is a mosaic, it itself is a diversity. So yes, some of the sections of the society have already been influenced by alien culture. Still, those who ever have come from outside, they are respecting our culture. So in that way, I'm sure at least in Arunachal, we are empowered, we are like not losing anything. So that is what I can say about that.
Thank you for such a rich, insightful response. Proceeding to next, can you suggest some significant ways of tribal empowerment? How should it differ from other communities in approach?
Regarding that, I can only say is like education and training among the tribals are not in line with what the market really needs. Thus, a policy maker must come up with more innovative ideas to ensure the proper education of all the school going tribal students. Then empowerment of tribals itself means enjoying their right to control and benefit from resources, assets, income and their own time, as well as the ability to manage risk and improve their economic status, well-being and invest in income-generating activities. This combination of economic and social empowerment positions them as leaders and decision makers in their household as well as in communities. So, faced with development challenge on account of social, economic and geographic exclusion, a steadily depleting livelihood-based illiteracy and lack of awareness of their rights and the market potential of their skills and resources, they are particularly vulnerable to exploitation, distress, migration and debt trap.
Thank you for your such an updated information on the significant ways of tribal empowerment. Coming to the next, what according to you are the major concerns of employment among the tribal youth at present? Is it different or similar to other youth in the country?
Yes, actually tribal youths comprises of an entirely different segment, potentially resourceful and adventurous segment of the population, and they are the unlucky cousin of urban and rural youth. Agriculture and allied activities support the livelihoods of nearly 70% of India's rural population. Then in recent years, land-based livelihoods of tribal farmers are increasingly becoming very unsustainable. Young people from tribal areas are currently entering the labor force as the tribal agriculture is really primitive and backward, resulting in low productivity. Several studies emphasized about poor and inadequate agricultural production from tribal lands accentuated the problem of maintaining tribal households at the subsistence level. The rural agrarian economy of tribal India rests on the shoulders of the young farmers and agriculture as vocation in uniquely positioned to absorb them. For appealing tribal youth and delivering good job opportunities, agriculture must break through a number of constraints that impede growth and competitiveness. And if I talk about Arunachal Pradesh, the dropout rate is very high, and since we are living in a very remotest part of the country, so awareness is lacking. Then inaccessibility of everything from school to route to, and again even coming down to town is not a matter of joke. It is a very far cry, and this one a Herculean task for the rural dwellers. So these are the things affecting them really badly.
Thank you, sir, for your response on employment among tribals youth. Moving to the second last query of this session, can you tell us and our learners also about significant local institutions generating employment opportunities for tribal youth?
In my opinion, tourism can really play a big role in combating unemployment. Tourism actually represents a high percentage use of labor force per invested capital. Then it is also responsible for creation of employment opportunities outside the tourist industry. The range of jobs created by tourism, for example, extends from unskilled through to management tasks. The industry provides direct and indirect employment to a large segment of population compared to other industries. The beneficiaries of tourism are the people who work in hotels, travel agencies, airlines, taxi drivers, flower sellers, souvenir dealers, vegetable dwellers, butchers and farmers, etc. There are a large number of specialized personnel required, such as accountants, housekeepers, cooks, waiters, and entertainers, who in turn need even large numbers of semi-skilled and unskilled workers, such as front house personnel, chambermaids, porters, then kitchen staffs, gardeners, etc. And in Arunachal, many people are coming up with self-help groups and NGOs, and they are like engaging many unemployed youth along.
Thank you, Professor Sumpam Tangjang, sir. Here I come to the end query. Finally, what you like to suggest to the learners for self-reliance in the context of seeking job opportunities among the Indian youth with specific reference to tribes?
Thank you so much, and I will wind up this question with a very short answer. So, yes, true self-reliance won't come from relentless industrialization, but it comes from localization. So, if the Indian state is really interested in self-reliance, it needs to support dignified rural livelihoods in agriculture, animal husbandry, forestry, fisheries, traditional crafts, and small manufacturing at the village level. It has to help set up producer-consumer links by eliminating exploitative middlemen, stop pandering to large corporations, eliminate GST and other burdens on homemade production, and ensure minimum support prices for primary sector products. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Sumpam Tangjang, sir, for sparing your valuable time and providing insightful inputs on different aspects of employment trends among tribals in India from Block 4. I am sure learners have enriched their knowledge with required information from your end. Dear learners, with this, I close this session. We'll see you in the next session with a discussion on land, empowerment and sustainable livelihood from the same block. Till then, keep learning. Namaskar.